Howdy folks, today we're going to be taking a look at this grid tie microinverter. This is a cheap, possibly one of the cheapest grid tie solar inverters you can buy. And I bought it because I thought it would be kind of interesting to take a look at potentially the horrors within. And I'm going to use this in a small installation on top of my shed. I'm not going to be putting this actually on my shed. There's a reason why I'm using microinverter in quotes, and that's because this thing is not rated for outdoor use at all. There is absolutely no seals anywhere. So if you leave this thing outside, it will fail due to moisture ingress like almost instantly. So this is going to go inside my shed. So it's going to be protected from the elements is the only reason I would even bother to try and use this. So we're going to take this apart, take a look at the horrors I'm sure that lie within. And, if the thing fails in a year, then we'll make a video and an autopsy of what happened. So this particular model that comes in a bunch of different wattages. There are actually lower wattage ones. I think they have a smaller case. This is the PVGS 500. So it's a 490 watt, inverter. And this is the 120 volt version. So you can get these in 120 or 240 volt, but I wanted the 120 just to make the electrical setup a little bit easier. And it's, it's exactly everything that you really need. It's got an LED on this side. It's just green and red. You got your mains input here, which is got a decent connector, and it comes with a little pigtail. It's only like 3 inches. I think your solar input here. One of these was loose when I got the thing. I had to tighten it back up, so that doesn't bode well for it. Starting to take the case apart, there's absolutely no attempt made to seal the top half, to seal around these end plates. There's just no weather protection on this thing whatsoever. So if you actually use this as a microinverter and it's outside, it will fail due to moisture ingress, guaranteed 100%. This thing should be treated as just any regular open air inverter, and in a box or something like that. And I mean, if you do want to use a microinverter, I mean, you could silicone the whole thing up, but then you'd never get it apart again. Oh, we're off to such a great start. So take the top off, and it's got a thermal pad here, and that thermal pad contacts these transformers on the board. And then, of course, I got to take this out of the bottom case, and because that's where all of the power packages are going to be heat sinked. And these are the thermal pads that contact the bottom, and these are the plastic peels for each of these that I had to remove. So the factory didn't even bother to remove the plastic on one side of these thermal pads. So if you get one of these, looks like you have to take it apart all the way, because without this, I mean, the thing is going to absolutely overheat, like no doubt. This thing's got no shot. I mean, this isn't even a very big heatsink to begin with. So the top was fine, but the bottom, no. So that does not bode well for the quality of the board. With the board fully removed, now we can start to take a closer look at things. And in no particular order, there's a few things I can spot right off the top. Some good, some bad. So in terms of good things, we do have a fuse on the main side here, and we do have some fuses here on the solar side, so they've at least gone to that effort. You'll notice that there's this capacitor here is really high up off the board, same thing as this one, so I don't know what the deal is going on there. And this should be a Class X safety capacitor, and it's not. It's just a regular generic, so that's a common thing in a lot of these Chinese low-end products. They don't really use the right parts, so that's not good. That's a point against it. My eye is immediately drawn to probably the biggest issue with this thing that I've seen so far, and that's the way the output voltage selection works. So you can see that there's these 2 points, right? The 240, they call it 230, 120 volt, and there's a little solder bridge here that's on the 120 volt, and that looks beautiful. Nothing's wrong there. And then there's this 230 volt section, and because of this giant solder blob here, it's difficult to see. I wonder if this was linked originally across, and then they link it over on this side. That's what I suspect. But the issue that I have with this is there's mains voltages that are going to be present here, and the clearance and creepage distance between these two solder blobs is like extremely small. I don't know how close my camera is going to focus on this. And it's also full of flux residue. So for a product that is, essentially going to be outdoors, this is no good. Even if this was indoors, this is no good. There's so many reasons why this could track between here. So this is the biggest issue that I've seen so far. So I'm actually going to, after this, I'm going to take some solder wick, clean this up, and try and improve the distance between these two and clean it up afterwards. So that, this is obviously something that's done manually. And so there's a lot of variability. This is not a good situation. And yeah, it works. It'll pass a test, but this is not safe. So that's a big issue, and that will need to be corrected. As far as everything else goes, there's actually not a whole lot on this. I was kind of surprised at the lack of stuff in here, but I guess it is really just an inverter. We've got some, looks like diode packages here, DPACs. We've got, spattering of small parts here. We've got an ST part here. There's also a trimmer pot. I think there's 2 trim pots. There's one here. There's one here. So wonder what those do. We've got a 12 megahertz crystal on the board there. That might be, I don't know, that might be programming or something, that header there. The main chip on this side, it has absolutely no number whatsoever. And it doesn't even look like it's been removed. It looks like it just straight doesn't have one. Or maybe it actually, no, this kind of looks like laser etching. So they've removed the part number from this, so I don't know what that is, and I'm not interested in trying to find out. We've got another ST part here. These might be op amps or something. Looks like we got a regulator there. We've got some large resistors here. These are definitely current shunts. And I wonder if those have been soldered on manually or touched up manually, just due to the way the soldering looks. It's not bad. It's just, it looks fine. It's it is what it is. We've got another little part down here. No manufacturer. I'm not going to look up these parts. I don't really care all that much. And then of course the bottom side, which is the side that you don't usually get to see. And these are all of our power packages. They're all TO220s. And unfortunately, due to the way that they're soldered, I'm not going to be able to read the part numbers, and I'm not really interested in taking them off just to read them. I'll wait until one of them blows up inevitably, and then I'll get to dealing with it. But from the silk screen, we can at least tell that these are probably all diodes, and these are all probably FETs because they've used the RF designator. So I suspect they're just high-speed FETs because that's how they have to shape the pure sine wave that comes out of this thing. So that's my best guess. One thing I'm actually kind of surprised to see is there's actually ferrite beads on these ones. So they've actually taken a little bit of attention to, I'm assuming RF. Maybe it was so bad that the circuit actually had problems operating and they needed to put these in. But it's weird how they skimp costs in certain places and then they add things like that in others. It's kind of strange. I'll say that. There is some additional current carrying capability added with solder on the bottom side here. For these, the hand soldering of the wires looks good. Nothing wrong there. We've got a what is this? That is a 555 timer. That is a 555 timer. That's quite funny. I wonder what the hell that's used for. The 555 timer is 55 years old now, actually. So crazy to see that. And then this is probably the most interesting. This micro actually does have a part number. And as you can see, this is a real microchip PIC 16F 1936. And I think this is incredibly weird to see because most of these, most low cost like Asian products use domestically sourced microcontrollers and parts wherever possible, especially when cost is a large component of it. And this is one of those, right? I mean, this is like basically the cheapest microinverter you can buy. So I'm really surprised to see a Western sourced part here. And as far as I know, there's nothing special, like there's no special peripherals in this chip that would require you to use it over just any other normal Asian source microcontroller. So it's really strange. I wonder if there was existing software for this, and that definitely is a programming header. You can see it actually corresponds with that perfectly. So I don't know what the deal is there. But other than that, that's really the whole thing. There's not a whole lot to it. No idea what the transformers are like inside, but they do look decent. You can see we've got that that double insulated wire. So I'm assuming that I'm assuming that these are probably okay. But other than that, that's, I think, all that's in here. So really, I'm just going to fix up that solder joint. And of course, I got to fix up these loose connectors. And other than that, I think it's just going to go back together and we'll see what happens. I'm just cleaning up the pads, and you can see that's the total amount of creepage distance between those two. So, I mean, they make it small just so that you can actually make a solder bridge across it, but it would have been much nicer if they had spaced these further apart and then, you know, just used like a 0 ohm link or something. But anyway, I'll do my best. It's all back together, so I will update you when it inevitably fails, and we can see what happened to it. But till then, thanks for watching.